Hello and welcome to another Speak2Go tutorial. Today we will learn about the structure of a Speak2Go lesson and the different parts that comprise a lesson. Speak2Go lessons are built to support spiral learning and to create a level of difficulty that increases during the lesson. This is in addition to learning through recycling vocabulary. This teaching method is particularly effective, helping students to focus on English and acquire new vocabulary which is better absorbed. Each lesson is made up of a series of exercises and actions that the student performs in sequence. Students master English in 3 stages: receptive, interactive, and productive. Let's go through the different steps in a lesson so you can see how each part is supported. Each lesson begins by practicing with Quizlet cards. The goal is to ensure the student is familiar with all the words he is going to practice. If there are new words, then this is his chance to understand their meaning in his mother tongue before hearing and speaking them. We recommend that when a student sees a new word, he turns the flashcard at least 3 times. A diligent student should ask himself what the word means in his mother tongue and then in English. It is recommended to turn the sound on during Quizlet practice so that he can also hear the correct pronunciations. Some lessons include a video that introduces the topic of the lesson. In elementary schools, the video also highlights any new vocabulary that is going to be practiced. This form of receptive learning is another layer to reinforce language development. Next, the student practices interactive speech with Speak2Go. The first activity after enriching vocabulary is to practice speaking these new words. The student hears each word or lexical chunk spoken by a native speaker and then repeats it. The student also hears his pronunciation of each word. This allows the student to practice pronouncing the words with understanding, reinforcing their vocabulary through another layer of recycling. After practicing the words, the student moves on to speaking full sentences. Each sentence contains one of the newly learned words, now spoken in context, in a correctly structured sentence. Some lessons include a listening comprehension. The students listen to a short passage and then answer questions by speaking. The student has to choose from 2 possible answers, which is the correct answer according to the passage. Once again, the questions and the answers combine the words from the lesson and thus constitute additional recycling of the vocabulary. The answers are given again as correctly structured sentences, so the students do not have the stress of speaking incorrect English, but they rather learn how to speak an answer to the highest level. In conversation practice, the student is asked a question and speaks their chosen answer. This activity is divided into an interactive and a productive part. The student hears a question and is given options for 2 possible answers. The answers are there and their purpose is to give the student ideas and practice speaking an answer that correctly answers the question. It is recommended to practice speaking both answers. Once students have finished the conversation section, there may be a free speech question to test productive speech. In this part, the student hears a relevant question and records his answer freely, without a pre-prepared answer. This allows the student to apply the material he has learned in class and encourages him to record an answer for himself. He also hears his answer played back to him. At the end of each lesson, students play a match game in which they connect a new word or lexical chunk to its translation. This is another level of vocabulary practice. At the end of most lessons, there is a concluding assessment test. The purpose of the test is to ensure understanding of the material learned in the lesson. The assessment test is an additional form of practice, recycling all of the material studied. This test consists of translating words from English into the student's mother tongue and vice versa, completing sentences by filling in the correct word, and a short reading comprehension followed by questions. So, let's recap. Today we went through the different forms of practice that appear in a Speak2Go lesson. Lessons are built in an upward spiral. There is an emphasis on vocabulary recycling in order to enrich your students' vocabulary and allow them to improve their speech with correct English use. The various parts of a lesson are vocabulary enrichment through Quizlet, a video, word practice, sentence practice, a listening comprehension, conversation practice, a free speech recording, matching games, and a summary assessment. Please note, not all lessons contain all these parts. The exercises vary from lesson to lesson too. For example, distance learning classes are structured differently to regular classes. They will be shorter and always contain a video and assessment test. There are separate and more detailed explanatory videos that explain the structure of the assessment test and distance learning programs. Thank you for listening, and we hope this video helps you get the best out of Speak2Go.